Hello and welcome to another episode of The Rubber Match. We keep battling through it. I'm your host, Seth Weber. With me always my hetero life mate, Brian Freeland.
What is going on? Good to be back.
We've got the very worst team, the Detroit Red Wings, versus the second best team, Boston Bruins. Hoping for a good game.
How's your week been?
It's been okay. Work's been a little on the stressful side. Got a lot of change going on right now, but I'll get through it.
Yeah. It was a pretty stressful week for me, too, actually. On Friday, my wife invited me to one of her work parties. I went, no, thank you. But I had some quiet time at the house and decided. But then actually I felt like a little. I got a little lonely. Oh, nice. So I decided to go. I decided to go hang out with my neighbor. Who's always smoking pot and drinking outside.
Yeah.
He's like 58, and he's from Zimbabwe. So I was like, all right, let's hang out. And so we sat out there and we drank some wine, and he smoked. I don't smoke. I brought some cigars out with me, thinking that maybe I was going to enjoy some. But then I didn't want to take a shower, and my wife wouldn't let me sleep in bed, so I decided against that. So anyway, I was telling him about living in Salem, Massachusetts, and he was like, the place with all the witchcraft. I was like, yeah, that's right. He was like, weren't you scared? I was like, nope. He's like, oh. He's like, I would be scared. He started telling me about witchcraft in Zimbabwe versus the commercial kind I was used to in Salem, right?
Yeah.
Open goal. Yeah. So it was pretty funny. So I started asking him about life in Zimbabwe, and he told me that when he was a kid going to school, he'd have to run 10 miles to the nearest school. And that's how he got to school. And they would they would measure time by putting sticks in the ground and seeing where the shadows were. Which is crazy. And he was like, my own children can't catch the bus in front of the house. He's like, they're lazy. Yeah. So it was a good time. It was a good time hanging out with him. But then, and then we hung out with a friend last night, and yeah, I don't know. It's been a pretty good weekend. I still feel tired though on Sundays.
Yeah.
And part of it is just the dread of going back into a work week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of it.
Yep. You realize it? Oh, nice.
What a hit that was.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Realizing I don't have enough.
Oh.
Yikes.
Knock that in your post.
I haven't watched anything. I'm still keeping up with She-Hulk and the Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And the and House of the Dragon.
That's a lot to balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's only 3 episodes a week, right?
Right. It's not bad, and really, I only average about 3 or 4 hours per week anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
good stick there.
So, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's too much, like too egregious.
Yeah. saw someone do a review on She-Hulk, and they were like, the worst offense, the worst thing that I can say about it is that it's just boring. And I was like, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what I wasn't feeling. But it just felt boring. I don't know if that changes, but it.
I don't find it as boring as Miss Marvel. I thought Miss Marvel. I was incredibly bored watching Miss Marvel, and honestly, this latest episode of She-Hulk, I finally got, I think, with the fourth episode, what it's trying to do, and it is trying to be like a weekly funny courtroom show, like the way like Boston Legal was. It's trying that under the guise of like, what would a normal week for like a superhero lawyer be?
Yeah.
Nope, that's not our goal, boys. Not our goal. And so this past week, it was like there was She-Hulk and Wong had to deal with some like interdimensional demons as like part of, and there was a somebody who had been kicked out of the Sorcerer Supreme Guild or school because he was like kind of a partier, but he was like still continuing to teach. He was still continuing to teach practice. So he was still continuing to practice magic, though unlicensed, and so that's what the whole lawsuit was. And I was like, okay, like I get what this show was trying to do, and in that it's different than the other Marvel properties.
Yeah.
And so I was like a little bit more okay with it. I think that they could pull it off a little bit better. So, yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I watch it. I actually look forward to it. I don't get bored to it, but I would understand somebody like that being the criticism. Yeah.
I mean, I think the review that I saw was only after like the first 3 or whatever.
Right. The fourth one was the strongest one so far. It's when I finally got what it was like trying to do. Yeah. I see. Oh.
I think. Oh, geez.
Oh no! Go in! Oh, you son of a bitch! What the hell?
That's amazing. We were actually deciding last night, like we'd finished the Bear, and then we were looking to figure out what to start next, and we were like, do we start House of Dragon? Do we start Rings of Power? And my wife was like, I don't really want something like that I really want to like pay attention to. I don't want something like heavy. And I'd put forth Patriot because she hasn't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a hard sell. Like the trailer doesn't even really do it justice.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've been thinking about a rewatch of Patriot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you wind up watching it?
No, we ended up watching Search Party, which is on HBO Max, and it's got Ali Shawkat in it.
Oh yeah, about the friend from college who goes missing. Okay.
Yeah. And it's pretty good. Like it feels like a good balance of like it's a little bit only murders in the building, but it seems like it's a little bit not as like might not be as season based. Like there's mystery, but there's still like a decent amount of awkward comedy.
So speaking of awkward comedy, I did try something new. I tried, because you recommended it, I watched the first episode of How To with John Wilson.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, all right, like this is interesting, like seeing where this goes because it's not where it started out. Like,
yeah,
I'll watch another one, but I wasn't really into it like at that moment. So I was like, well, let me check out this show, The Rehearsal. But then
that's on my list too.
So before I did that, though, I was like, well, let's check out his first show, which was Nathan for You, and see if I can like get like a feeling for like who this guy is and maybe like what he does.
Yeah.
And it was similar because I think Nathan Fielder. Oh, the reason I got there was because Nathan Fielder was like, come on, like executive producer of John Wilson of House with John Wilson.
Yep.
Okay. So that's how I got there. I was like, oh, Nathan Fielder, he's that new show, The Rehearsal. Right. Now I'm backtracking like my thought process. But I was like, okay, let's see what this guy does. So I watched Nathan for You, and I was like, that kind of like awkward. It's not even awkward comedy. It's like the host is awkward. And the situations are awkward. Not really my brand of comedy. Or like maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I watched half of the first episode of Nathan for You and like 10 minutes, if that, of The Rehearsal. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this right now. Or ever. Yeah. So
I really like How to with John Wilson. Like there's some in a few of the one of the episodes with so the first one you watched was Scaffolding, right? Was that the first episode?
It
or
was
what the first
How
one
to
is.
Make Small Talk. How to Make Small Talk. And he goes down to like the MTV beach party and this guy
right. He meets that dude.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 or 3 of the episodes that they go in such an like a place that I just couldn't have predicted that they are. They're just really great. And the last episode of that first season is really, really good.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the other topic for that other one was. That was like I couldn't believe it had gotten there, but just some of the situations that he ends up finding himself in just by like walking into some place and opening a door or whatever is just real strange. It kind of like makes you like it kind of made me want to be in New York, where like you just have that feeling where like anything's a possibility. And like you can see the craziest shit on the street. But then in the same token, like watching Search Party last night, I was like, oh yeah, New York's filled with all these people, and I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, right.
Like I was just like, oh god, these people are insufferable, and it would be horrible. And I was like they're like Ali Shawkat and her boyfriend are like in their apartment, and through the walls they're just hearing like a domestic dispute, and. She's like, we should do something. He's like, I don't want to do anything. Okay, if we hear like the sound of breaking glass, I'll go over there. And then immediately there's the sound of breaking glass, and he's like, I don't know what that was. And I'm just like, and then he tries to say something, and she ends up like the girl in the house is just like biting his head off, and I'm like, good Lord, like I couldn't deal. Like I want the randomness of that city, but not like everything else that comes with it.
For sure. What I appreciate about John Wilson is, when I was taking literary journalism courses and reading a lot of that about like the writer, it's embedded journalism, right? Like the writer is the conceit is like the writer is part of the story and becomes part of the story. And because any idea, any notion of like objectivity is just false. Oh, wow! All right, come on, guys. Can I get 2 more in the next 2.5 minutes? I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible, right? So, so like I did appreciate that, and the idea of like, okay, well let's like look into this and follow this thread and see where it takes us. And the surprise is like we're going to end up somewhere completely unexpected. Like I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting that from like the Nathan Fielder shows. Which is why I feel I'll like return to John Wilson. Because John Wilson, like he's funny and he's probably trying to be funny, but there was a little bit more heart. And I felt like
he seems pretty
just,
genuine.
Like, more
and,
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a bit or a shtick.
Exactly. And and Nathan Fielder felt like it was definitely a bit. It just so it was fair. Oh, I had a good run at the last period.
Yeah,
but
it's starting to come together. So you want to try Tampa Bay? You want to stick with
Tampa
Boston?
Bay?
Or?
No,
okay.
Tampa Bay. So we should tell people that the extremes don't get farther apart than this. Correct?
The which?
Right. The extremes. I'm at the best team, you're the worst.
Yes.
Right.
This is the best team versus the worst team. We talked about last week if it continues to be lopsided at this, what we would do, and we have the option of turning the penalties on, and maybe that would give some different advantages where it would be, there would be more power plays, and it would be a possibility that you would have more people on the ice. The other option is that I can start pulling my goalie, and so I would have an extra person on the ice, but there wouldn't be anybody in goal.
Right.
So those are all things that we could try depending on how this goes.
Depending on how this goes, I think if that's what we're doing, we're definitely looking at like next week.
Yeah.
For that to happen, I gotta say for the lowest ranked team, your goalie looks like he's okay.
That the center scored all 5 of those goals last game.
Oh, right. All right. So he needs to
go. He might be okay. He might be the best person on that team. Yeah, I think he is. I also started Welcome to Wrexham.
Welcome to Wrexham?
Yeah, which is
I
a
have
documentary.
No idea what that is.
It's a documentary series about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney buying Wrexham Football Club.
Oh, yes. Okay, right. Wait, it's a documentary?
Yeah.
But they really did that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought it was a show. Just it was like a fictional made-up show.
Oh, no. Yeah, they really bought it. I think with the idea of we'll document this, and then that'll bring we'll get more followers for the club, because it's a club that's in, so the way the football league is set up, there are 4 top tiers. There's the Premier League, which is the top tier. Then there's the Championship, and then there's League 1 and League 2. And then under that is the National League, which is 5th tier, and it's the last tier of professional soccer in England. And under there you'd have semi-pro. And football players at that tier would make about $40K a year.
Okay.
So they can it's a living, but
right.
It's nowhere what Premier League players are making.
Okay.
And so they've been stuck in that National League for, I don't remember how many years it was, 13 years, something like that.
Okay.
And that's really tough. It's a really tough league to get out of, because that the jump that you get from being in those top 4 tiers is big. And so I think they saw an opportunity for McElhenney is obviously from Philly and is a diehard Eagles fan, and understands what a team can mean to a community.
Yeah. Okay.
And the club was owned by a supporters trust, and so they had to go on a call. This was in the middle of COVID, and basically lay out their case for wanting to purchase the club, and they had to get 75% approval in order to move forward. And on both motions, they got over 95. I think they were 97 and 98%.
Wow.
And so they were all for it, and then it then becomes the time of finishing out that season that they were in when they bought the club, which is the COVID year when there were no fans in the stands.
Right.
And then moving forward to kind of rebuild and try to get promoted. It's interesting. It's super interesting. It's definitely for football people that aren't familiar with football. They do a pretty good job of explaining how everything works, and they'll pop up vocabulary in case you don't know what relegated means, stuff like that. So it's definitely for a broader audience and not just people that are in the know for English football.
Right. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. I might check that out.
Yeah.
My question to you was it better or worse than Moonfall?
I was like on Friday nights, we have a movie night, and then the kids usually want to sleep in our bed. And when that happens, I don't even try to sleep in the bed with them because I will end up on the edge of the bed, sometimes being actually kicked off the bed entirely. And so, like, I'm just like, I'd like to get some sleep, so I will just go sleep in my son's room or my daughter's room or whatever, and they can have the bed. And so usually on those nights, I'll look and see what's on and try to catch up on things or whatever. And I loaded up HBO Max, and it was like Moonfall. It was like the first thing on there, and I was like, oh, and I got so excited because I have a love affair of disaster movies and big animal movies. Like Tremors is one of my favorite movies of all times. I think the script is borderline perfect. And it's just, I just love them. I absolutely love them. Disaster movies too. I just like the spectacle of them. I think I saw 2021 twice in the theater. Not that it was great, but like the scale of it was just fun. It was just super fun. But man, Moonfall it's got Halle Berry in it. Directed by Roland Emmerich. I don't know what happened. Like, I mean, I think Roland Emmerich is pretty hacky as a director. Like, I did a paper on him when I was in school, and about how all of his stuff always like took themes from other movies that were popular like 2 years prior, all the way through his entire career. And, like, Stargate may have been his one thing that was like not predicated on something else, and it was probably his most successful movie. Well, maybe not. Maybe ID4 was. But also, like, I don't know what happened, but him and Dean Devlin aren't working together anymore, which was like his partner. Like, he was the producer to Roland Emmerich, and I don't know what happened there. Jesus Christ. But it's like, so it's the main characters. I don't know who the main astronaut guy is, but Halle Berry is with this guy on a regular ass space mission when they get attacked by this like crazy alien swarm of like nanobot looking things. One of the other astronauts ends up dying because of it. The guy ends up getting the ship and Halle Berry, who's been knocked unconscious, back to Earth, and then they don't believe him that like it was an alien, and he basically gets discredited and thrown out of astronauting. But like he tries so hard to do. The other story that joins up with these two is Sam from Game of Thrones, who is what's it called? He believes mega structuralist. He believes that the moon was built by aliens, is hollow, and has a dying white dwarf inside of it that powers it. And he discovers by going in or breaking into college that the Earth or the moon's orbit is out of whack, so it's slowly drifting, kind of spiraling in toward the Earth. He's the first one to realize it. NASA realizes it pretty much right away after that, but nobody will listen to him, and NASA's trying to keep it under wraps. What the fuck just happened to that guy?
I have no idea. I don't know what's going on right now.
And so he ends up leaking it to everybody. But what ends up happening is the moon starts to fall, hence the title. They end up, all the crazy shit starts happening with gravity and water and everything else. And they end up launching in a rocket right before a giant gravity wave is what they title it. hits the launch site, which is a pretty crazy ass scene. But they end up going into the moon, and they drop a rover in there. And it turns out the structure, the Sam is completely right.
Of course, yeah. Right.
Like,
all right.
100% right. Our ancestors apparently came here, seeded Earth, created the moon as like an arc. It's run by an AI, and they also created these whatever the bot things are that are also the AI they created that ended up destroying them, and they traveled here to get away from them, and they found us. Like, it was not the movie that I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like a straight up,
like the moon is collapsing and headed toward Earth.
Yeah, and like,
right?
We need to fix it. Like, I was hoping for something like The Core. Like, The Core is a great example of a disaster movie that's like far-fetched as shit, but still super enjoyable. That movie's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But still, like, on the edge of, like this. There's got to be some suspension of disbelief because the whole premise is fucking crazy. But still.
Sure. Oh no!
That dude's slap shot is lethal. But it's fucking. But then they like try to do the 2021 bit where they're like juggling multiple characters because you got like the astronaut's son who was in jail for stealing a car, and Halle Berry's son has their like Asian nanny, and they're trying to get to a. It's just fucking. It's all over the place, and it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way I'm checking the movie out.
Like, I think you could probably watch like the best bits in like a compilation on YouTube of like the disaster effects.
Yeah.
And that's about all you would need.
In our past podcast life, I've watched enough bad movies.
Yep. I haven't. I feel like there was a time where I would really seek them out, and like I feel like that time has kind of ended. Like I think back on that time like fondly.
Fucking asshole. Yeah.
But it's I feel like with the time that I have now, it feels a bit like a waste.
There was something for me about turning 40 that I was like, all right, I only have a little, like, I don't have as much time left as I used to, and I'm going to make sure that, like, I'm going to fill it with, like, I used to not give up on things. I was like, I'm just going to follow the end because, I'm OCD and I need to. And now it's like, if I'm not feeling it, I was like, there's so much content out there that, that I want to find something that I enjoy. So
I think the other side of it is that, like, I'm not around the people that would make it enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
good point.
When I was like living with my friend or, hanging out at other people's houses, like that shit is a lot of fun. It's not as fun to watch really good stuff together. Except for that time we watched Citizen Kane.
Was I awake? Did I fall asleep?
No, I think you did. I just remember making sound effects when he like freaked out and started tearing the room apart.
Oh, that's right.
And you were like laughing hysterically.
Yes. Yeah. When he comes up the stairs and he's like trying to pull the banister off.
Yeah. He's trying to pull those shelves down. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Well,
it's a more realistic storyline.
Yeah. Sure.
You got one of the stars of the game. I don't know who he is, but he's on there.
Yeah, well, it's something. The first two periods of that game defense was definitely on it.
Yeah.
All right. What are our options? Let's talk.
So I think we could try.
What do you think we should do?
We could try turning the penalties on next week for the first game. The only problem with that is that like it becomes it's a two-way street. So it could end up with you having people. You could end up having people out if you're causing the penalties.
Right.
So I think that one's tough. We could try it and see, just because we don't know. We're playing with them off entirely. Well, except for offsides, but not like actual like any of the hits or anything. We're not being penalized for any of those. So the game might end up being a little bit longer because of that, because there are a bit more stoppages in play. But it could lead to some more opportunities.
Okay.
So we try that in the first game, and if it turns out it doesn't work out, holy shit, what a shot that was. Then we could try pulling. I'll pull the keeper, and I'll play with 6, and we'll see how that works. If you feel overwhelmed, or you just need to like smack it on the ice and it goes in.
For sure.
Even though you got one of those when I had my keeper there.
Yeah. No. Let's do it. There's let's keep adding on the handicaps. I told myself that I was going to practice this week, and it just didn't happen.
Yep.
Didn't happen.
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe.
Well, now you got a team. Now you got a team for sure.
Yeah.
You could just load up those teams and just start playing them.
I think. I mean, I've been most successful, obviously, with the top tier teams. So I'll probably just fluctuate between the two. So if we start with Penalties next week, I'll go back to Boston and see how that works out.
Yep. All right.
All right.
We will see you all again next week for the rubber match.
Take care, y'all.
Bye, y'all.